Hi, welcome to my YouTube tarot channel. Today I'm reading for Capricorn for the month of May 2020. A lot of the readings I've done for the astrological signs have thrown up a lot to do with the situation that we're in at the moment, the COVID-19 situation, and how that's impacted on us in various ways. Oddly, this Capricorn reading is the first one that doesn't have a sense of that at all. It seems to be more about choices in life and around partnerships more. So that's quite interesting. So we'll make a start for you, Capricorn. At the centre of it is the Two of Cups. The cups represents the journey of the heart, of the love journey, if you like, and the two can represent, choices in love. It can mean making up after a separation, or the first stirrings of feelings in a relationship. It can also indicate contractual things, so either in business or in love. So it could also mean thoughts of further commitment, possibly, or it may just mean a reconciliation after perhaps a difficult patch. Possibly the difficult patch might be represented by, I think we've all found ourselves in unusual circumstances, perhaps either spending too much time with a loved one or not enough, one or the other. So I think maybe that is something that has been thrown up, which may also reflect on Capricorn after having what I just said before. But yeah, so that's kind of there at the centre of the reading, and that's crossed or highlighted by the Hierophant, who's represented by the figure of the centaur in the cave. This pack is the mythic tarot, which is based on Greek mythology, so the centaur is obviously a figure of wisdom and is normally a teacher of esoteric things. So I think possibly these difficulties and or reconciliation in love, plus possibly the COVID thing, has brought to the fore a desire in you for esoteric or philosophical study or learning, or maybe you've come across somebody or something that has inspired you to start thinking along those lines, or you had that desire inspired in you, where you want to sort of really reflect on what is life all about, what's this journey that we're on, spiritual journey, or an esoteric or philosophical investigation, obviously represented by being in the cave of the subconscious or unconscious, being illuminated here by the wise old centaur. At the top of the reading, throwing its influence over, is the stage of initial completion. Again, in this mythic tarot, this is represented by the journey of Jason to go and find the golden fleece. And this is the first stage of his journey, where he arrives where he thinks he's going to be welcomed as the prince, but is then sent on further on this quest for the golden fleece. So it's a card of initial completion. So that could be in the journey of study or love, or anything that you feel has been developing, or a direction you've wanted to go in. You've reached the sort of first stage there, and so it's going ahead, but there's more to come. And at the bottom of the reading, and this may have something to do with the Two of Cups, even though this looks like a lovely happy card, as I indicated, there may be issues with the two lovers, which need either a reconciliation or a clarification. This card at the bottom of the reading makes me wonder if there are issues that have been avoided through this is a card of indecision, and it's an indecision that comes out of perhaps not wanting to hurt another person. So looking at this, it's possible that there are things you'd like to discuss or directions you'd like to go in, but you're fearful of bringing it up because it's going to be like throwing a stone in that pond and the ripples will begin. And so at the moment, you're feeling really on the horns of a dilemma. You don't know what to do for the best. Either way is not going to be particularly easy. But in a sense, you've been not blind, but you've been avoiding. There's a sense of avoidance in this card. Avoidance in decision making or avoidance in thinking clearly about a situation. So you may know what that's about, or you may not. But there it is at the bottom of the reading. Sometimes this card can represent things that are not fully in your consciousness at the moment. So when this comes up, you might go, actually, yes, possibly. It might throw a bit of light on perhaps a feeling of discomfort, or perhaps you're aware you're not facing something. And then just behind you or moving away from is this. This is again a card of. It's not a card of dissatisfaction exactly, but it's the card of stirrings of a new idea, of a new creative direction. It's not really fully formed yet because it's the page and he's just riding off willy-nilly on the golden ram towards the sun. But he's it's really a kind of perhaps the first stirrings of dissatisfaction with where you're at, and you're sort of thinking, oh, this must be something else I'd like to do. I think, maybe it could be this or that. And it's not fully formed yet. It's more a feeling of something's got to change. And I really feel like perhaps I need to go in a new direction. But you might not be quite aware where that is just yet. So that feeling is kind of around at the moment, a little bit behind you. Maybe you've started to resolve it. And just coming up in front here is the Queen of Swords. Now this could represent somebody that you know, or it may be an aspect of yourself. The Queen of Swords is a female figure in a sort of traditionally masculine suit, if you like, with the swords, which is all about the intellect and idealism. She is a figure of high ideals, sometimes to the detriment of human feeling. It's more everything has to give way to the high ideals, and it can mean a figure, either you or someone you know, who perhaps their idealism outweighs their human feeling, if you like. So it's almost like trying to live up to an impossible ideal, or expecting someone you know to live up to an impossible ideal. So there's an element of lack of compassion or tolerance here for people's foibles and weaknesses. It's sort of holding somebody up to an impossible standard in a way, which is admirable in some ways to have those high ideals. And Atalanta here is actually quite an admirable figure, very pure, cool-headed, but again, maybe needs to bring in a touch of human kindness or a human softness there. So I don't know if this is, again, as I mentioned at the beginning, if I felt like this reading was really about a relationship, or perhaps more than some of the other readings I've had. I sort of feel that possibly the parting of the ways and maybe reconciliations that are going on here are very much based on this kind of high idealism that is really setting impossible standards, either for yourself or for somebody else, or somebody else is doing that to you. which is the core of this sense of dissatisfaction, perhaps, or difficulties, which again, you know, there's an element of not wanting to face it. You know, it's like, ooh, what decision should I do? And ooh, do I have to face this? It's going to be hurtful to somebody, or and it's also a recognition of how you, in a sense, have contributed to that by not being fully yourself or fully honest. So, yeah, I don't know if this is ringing true for any of you. Okay. Then the Ace of Wands is another aspect throwing light on the significator, which is the Two of Cups, you know, that sort of reconciliation card, or and this again is very much like the Three of Wands or the Page of Wands. You've got all these Wands cards here. There's a sense of feeling the need to do something new. You know, this unformed idea of like, I'm not quite happy where I am. I feel something missing. I need to perhaps look at doing something else. And this again could be tied in with the COVID-19 thing. I'm sort of backtracking slightly on what I said at the beginning. As I read the cards, sometimes things become obvious to me. You know, it could be that I think a lot of people in lockdown have sort of had time to think, time to reflect, and perhaps think, well, do I really want to go back to how things were? Do I want to pursue that same lifestyle or that same career or whatever? There could be something else on the cards, and I think, you know, it kind of gives us time to reflect. So the Ace of Wands here is all about the energy of that change, the energy of setting out on a new voyage. Again, it may not be completely differentiated. You know, you might not have a clear vision of what it is just yet, but there's definitely a burning fire there to change something. And again, that's reflected here. This is the environment that you're in at the moment, or that you find yourself in. And again, this is a card of decisions, choice. It seems to be a theme running through here. This is on a material level. Here's the Seven of Pentacles, and what it represents is a new offer, or a new way of making your living, or a new way of living is being offered to you. Here you've got the Seven Pentacles all stacked up. This is the figure of Daedalus, who's been working for King Minos, and he's got a nice little thing going. It's very secure, stable. He's built it up. He knows where he is with that, and of course there's a lot to be said for that security. But then he's made an offer from the Queen here, which is to set out and do something new, which actually rings true with him. It's like, oh, that would be amazing to do that, but oh, isn't it a bit risky to chance all this that I've built up, and where my security lies? Do I risk doing something that fulfills me more, that is more in tune with me and what I want to do, or do I stay in the safe place that I've spent all this time building up? So this again and again, this again is like a card of choice. There's the two figures here in the cups. Whether the way this new offer, or this new idea that's forming with the wands and so forth, may or may not be connected to your relationship. This may be a business contract. It's also possible, but it may not be. It may be that there's a new offer being made, which might mean moving away from this, which then necessitates a painful decision that you don't really want to make. So yes, there's a lot going on here, Capricorn. Okay, so there we go. And then this is Hopes and Fears, the High Priestess. Now this really is about using the unconscious, the dreams, the intuitions to decide how to act. And this might be quite contrary to perhaps how you normally do things. The the Queen of Swords figure, you know, is all about using the swords, which is mental ability, the intellect, to make cool, calm, idealistic decisions. But this is all about using your intuition, your subconscious, those deeper, darker, or maybe not darker, deeper, lighter feelings, which may be nebulous, but nonetheless are insistent and sometimes arise when we least expect them. So that's your hopes and fears. So maybe you're fearful of those nudgings of intuition, of the dreams, the realizations and things. Maybe it's like, oh no, I don't want to. No, that's going to rock the boat too much. I don't want to do that. No, I don't want to listen to that prompting from the heart. It's a bit too much. It's going to, it's going to propel me into new areas, and maybe I'm a bit worried about that. Well, everyone has free will. The tarot's not predictive in that way. This is what's going on. Only you can make that decision. But maybe this helps to clarify some of the feelings that have been manifesting, possibly, during this lockdown period when we've all had time to reflect and think. So, the outcome, as they call it, it's like the potential outcome is judgment. And that again is like the completing of a cycle. And again, there's a sort of karmic aspect to this, in as much that it's a little bit of reaping what you sow, which can be good and bad, but it's also a card of recognizing how it's really about judging yourself. Have you been true to yourself? Have you betrayed yourself? The judgment can seem to be from outside, but it can also be an interior judgment, self-judgment. And it's really about accepting where your past actions may have led to where you are at the moment, which again sort of ties in with this card again. Is there a certain inability to face up to a decision because you've kind of contributed to it, you feel a bit bad about it, you don't want to hurt someone, or whatever the reason is behind this inability to make a decision. So whatever the outcome is, it's sort of saying, you have to kind of man up and accept your part that you've played in how things have panned out. So it's also that cycle, the cycle in the cards here, about the decisions and the completions and the working with this rather cool-headed, idealistic aspect, either of yourself or somebody else that you are close to, possibly. How to reconcile all these things, this rather practical, chilly sort of view of the world, and this, sort of rather mysterious, subconsciously swirly-whirly sort of view of the world. There's an awful lot going on here, Capricorn. So, I hope I've given you some food for thought. Again, everyone has free will, so the outcome is up to you. But I hope that, in a sense, this reading may have confirmed or highlighted some things that you were aware of, or maybe not aware of, and you're kind of going, oh my God, yes. Again, that comes back to this card here, the Hierophant. Maybe it's going to stimulate in you a desire to learn more about philosophical or esoteric or spiritual matters. Maybe that will help you to work your way through these various issues here, the changes that seem to be afoot, that seem to be knocking at the door there, tapping at the door. So I wish you luck with all that, Capricorn, and do tune in again, and I'll try and keep with updates and things. And if you'd like a personal reading, please do get in touch with me. My email address is below this video, and please leave a like or a subscribe would be even nicer. I hope to speak with you again. Thank you very much for tuning in, and in the meantime, take good care of yourself. Thank you. Bye bye.